This is her splash this week. It's the first of a number of kind of very early mini scandals that have come out of the recent election. This is a Labour councillor. She's been investigated for failing to declare that her husband owns a rental property in Barking. She's had to resign from the cabinet, but she was actually the cabinet member for community safety and enforcement. So she was essentially responsible for regulating landlords, punishing road landlords. Now, her husband's not done anything wrong. It's just the very fact that she should have let people know it's a criminal offence for a councillor not to declare if they or their spouse has got financial interest, in particular here, very specific interests, within 28 days of taking up office. She stepped down, actually, before the local elections. Interestingly, the news has only come out since she was re-elected as a councillor. She's apologised for any of the embarrassment that she's caused the local Labour Party. Interestingly, Barking Dagenham Council, since that election, has now got entirely Labour makeup. There's no opposition councillors. I think newspapers like the Barking Dagenham Post can be very important in looking at what they're up to in the next few years. Yeah,
the journalists and the scrutiny that the journalists can put on that cabinet will be even more important.
Absolutely.
Right, let's move on then. What's going on? This is the Camden New Journal, and it's a man who, to some extent, was behind a film.
Yes, he was. This is a gentleman by the name of Harry the Hermit, who was living on a patch of land next to Hampstead Heath as an Irishman. And he inspired the film Hampstead, which came out a year or two ago, starring Brendan Gleeson, which people may or indeed not remember about this character. But now this plot of land has gone up for sale. He actually left in his will, because he won the rights to it while he was alive, that it should go to homelessness charities. And for them to use that for their work, they need to sell that. But under its lease, it cannot be used to be built on. So Mark Hutchinson from the Heath and Hampstead Society, he said he's going to keep a close eye on any deal. The covenants on it mean you can't use it as a building. So he hopes that they'll be part of being involved in some kind of purchasing arrangement to ensure it remains part of the Heath.
Yeah, quickly, any word from the estate agent involved in this? Have they had anything to say?
They haven't. There's no quotes on any, but it is Savills, who are a very high-end estate agent, so we can assume that this is going to go for a pretty penny.
Yeah. And no doubt that paper will keep an eye on.
Yes.
Right, now, the return of the Kiln Theatre saga. Remind people of the background to this story and why it's back in the paper.
Right, so this is in the Brenton Kilburn Times. People may have seen me talking about this a few weeks ago. The Tricycle Theatre, which is a very well-regarded and well-loved local theatre in Kilburn, has rather controversially changed its name to the Kiln, which a lot of local people are unhappy about. There was a crowd of 60 people on Kilburn High Road last week. There's petitions against this. But there's now a legal aspect to this, because it turns out there's already a theatre called the Kiln in Birmingham. They've only discovered about this change of name for the Kilburn venue, and they're now looking to take legal action. They've described the conflict and confusion that have come out of this name change, that they've informed Arts Council England their discontent and are now seeking legal advice.
There's more strength of feeling behind this and some real issues, isn't there, in the world?
It really is. It really has upset a lot of local people. They don't see the point of this name change. I read out the quotes from the artistic director a few weeks ago, worth saying again. She said that she wanted a name that rooted us in Kilburn's community and that reflects the company's programming and ethos, that idea of energy and creativity. And to restate what I said a few weeks ago, it's just words. Just words, aren't they, in a random order?
Maybe the threat of legal action could see this resolved will follow.
That's quite possible.
Yeah, now, finally, this one will take a little bit of explaining for those who don't understand what catfishing is.
No.
And why Ant McPartland's involved.
Yes, yeah, indeed. This is from the Kingston Guardian. A Surbiton man convinces catfish he is really Ant McPartland. Arguably, that's just words. Will Burton in Surbiton is a 26-year-old who is on the website Match.com, which is apparently still a thing, and was winked at by a lady on there called Ekaterina, who said she was Russian. He quickly worked out she was a catfish, which, for people who are unaware, is somebody who poses as somebody else online in order to trick them into a relationship.
More likely to be a hairy man in Barking, pretending to be this glamorous.
So, in this case, Ekaterina said she worked in the Russian city of Vladimir in a toy shop called the World of Children. So he catfished the catfish. He sent pictures of Ant McPartland saying that they were of him. She gave him loads of details for himself. So he replied a picture of Ant and Dec, saying that was him and his friend Joe, who he described as Vice President of Activities at Bournemouth University. And I've got to credit him for the level of detail there. She told him about how she wanted to get married and she didn't didn't like Russian men. So he got back to her a little bit late, but he said, for the delay, one of my sheep was giving birth, and I'm pleased to announce that it was born happy, healthy, and very ticklish. I wanted to name the lamb after you, but I found it hard to pronounce your name, so I called it Craig, which is an old Anglo-Saxon name meaning mysterious foreign woman.
There's been a lot of fun had here, hasn't there? Did he, in the end, call her out, or whoever it was that was pretending to be this person?
He did. He revealed his true identity, or rather told her that he wasn't Ant McPartlin, and she did not respond. He's now recorded a video about all this and posted it on YouTube, which I think might be worth a look, calling her his favourite little Russian catfish.